Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Rifki Faranja from Institut Teknologi Bandung, and today I'm going to present our ACL 2025 paper titled Do Language Model Understand Honorific System in Javanese? Honorific are essential in many languages, such as Japanese, Korean, Thai, Vietnamese, and others, for proper address and social relationship. Using the right honorific register foster culturally appropriate dialogue. Meanwhile, the rise of large language models as conversational agents requires special attention. Users often assign them social roles or status. So in languages with honorific levels, LLM must generate speech with the correct honorific to preserve trust and cultural formality. One language that exemplifies a highly complex honorific system is Javanese. Javanese is Indonesia's largest ethnic group, concentrated on Java Island and speaking to roughly 98 million people. The language employs a complex formality system. Its honorific are rooted in cultural norms and history, reflecting broader principles of linguistic politeness. The Javanese language features a distinctive honorific system known as Ungga-ungguh basa, which encompasses four interrelated components. The first component, tataran tembung, classifies vocabulary into three levels of politeness, each chosen based on social context and the relationship between speakers. The second component, tataran rimba, involves modifying word root by adding specific prefix, infix, or suffix to align with the appropriate register. Meanwhile, Warnani Ukoro governs sentence structure by categorizing utterance such as commands, request, narrative, and question. Response are further divided into tanggap or tanduk. Finally, Uda Usuk Boso established the hierarchical degrees of honorific speech. In Japanese, honorific level reflect varying degrees of formality and respect, playing a crucial role in social interaction. The most informal level, ngoko, is used among equals or when addressing someone younger or of lower status, relying entirely on everyday vocabulary. Ngoko alus refine this by incorporating polite or respectful words while maintaining ngoko's basic structure, making it suitable for slightly higher status interlocutors or to show mild difference. Kromo is distinctly formal register employed when speaking to someone of higher social standing or to unfamiliar individuals, characterized by a separate set of Kromo vocabulary that differs significantly from Ngoko. At the top is Kromo alus, which uses the most refined and respectful lexicon and structure, reserved for highly formal situation and interaction with those entitled to the greatest honor. Next, we must ask whether this complex linguistic variation has truly been recognized and preserved by earlier research efforts. Research on low-resource languages, especially Javanese, has advanced significantly in recent years. Previous work on Javanese language modeling, part of speech taking, sentiment analysis, and dialect identification has addressed some of the language's inherent complexities. However, no research has specifically examined Javanese honorific from an AI or NLP perspective, covering corpus creation, downstream tasks, or evaluation, despite this step being essential for preserving this phenomenon. Therefore, in this study we introduce Ungga-ungguh, a meticulously curated corpus designed to capture the nuanced use of honorific language in Japanese. By drawing on a diverse range of reputable sources such as dictionaries and books, the dataset offers comprehensive coverage of honorific usage. Ungga-ungguh includes over 4,000 sentences in its translation subset and 160 cases in its conversation subset, ensuring both depth and variety for downstream AI or NLP tasks. This is a sample instance from the Ungga-ungguh dataset. In the translation subset, there are 5 columns. The label indicate the honorific level. 0 for Ngoko, 1 for Ngoko alus, 2 for Kromo, and 3 for Kromo alus. The group column assign an ID to all instances sharing the same underlying sentence. And the Indonesian sentence and English sentence column provide the meaning of each instance in Indonesian and in English. In the conversation subset, there are 5 main columns. The 5 primary columns specify the role or social status of speaker A and speaker B, the conversational context, and the gold honorific label for that scenario. One question that might arise is, how is this corpus constructed? The dataset primarily comes from Kamus Ungga-ungguh Basa Jawa, a dictionary containing example sentence labeled by honorific level. We also gathered additional examples from Japanese language books. Since these sources were not digitized, we scanned the relevant pages, applied OCR, and manually corrected error through a two-stage verification involving native Japanese speakers. In the first stage, one of the authors, who is native speaker, compared the OCR output with the original text and fixed any mistakes. In the second stage, another native speaker independently reviewed all sentences and provided Indonesian translation, identifying and correcting about 1.5% of the entire dataset. Next, why is this corpus proven to be an excellent and well-suited resource for this issue? We compare Ungga-ungguh against 9 existing Japanese corpora to examine the proportion of honorific level in each, whereas those 9 corpora are dominated by a single honorific register. Unga shows a much more balanced distribution across all four levels. In terms of lexical diversity, Unga also outperformed the Japanese honorific corpus, with a yield K-score of 105.43 compared to 125.54 for the Japanese corpus. Lower values indicate greater diversity. Next, we will evaluate recent language model understanding of the Javanese honorific phenomenon using the Unga corpus. In our benchmark, we evaluate four downstream tasks: honorific level classification, honorific style transfer, cross-lingual honorific translation, and honorific aware conversation generation. First, the model must classify a Japanese sentence into its correct honorific level. Next, it converts a sentence from one honorific register to another. The third task asks the model to translate Japanese sentences with a specified honorific level into Indonesian and vice versa. Finally, given the social statuses of speakers A and B and a conversational context, the model generates a dialogue, and we measure how accurately it applies the appropriate honorifics. We employed a range of models, including multilingual, English-centric, and Indonesian regional variants, spanning encoder language model, generative model, and rule-based system, as well as both open source and closed source implementation. Then, what were the experimental results? For the first task, we conducted two sets of experiments, one using fine-tuned model and the other using off-the-shelf models, with an 80-20 trend test split. In the fine-tuning experiment, we included a rule-based classifier that counted occurrences of honorific level words and assigned the label with the highest count. We also used an LSTM as a deep learning baseline and fine-tuned various Javanese language models. Across these trials, Javanese DistilBERT emerged as the best performing model. In the next phase, we tested several off-the-shelf models and found their performance far below that of our fine-tuned models. Even the top two off-the-shelf performers, GPT-4o and Gemini 1.5 Pro, lagged significantly behind Javanese DistilBERT. Therefore, we will use Javanese DistilBERT as the evaluator for task 4. Beyond overall performance, we also examined evaluation score by honorific level. We found that GPT-4o, Llama 3.1, and Sahabat AI all score 0 on precision, recall, and F1, specifically for the Ngoko Alus and Chromo Alus levels. When examining the error distribution across levels, Ngoko Alus is frequently misclassified, with errors spread among the other three categories. In contrast, when analyzing misclassification for Chromo Alus, no instance are ever labeled as Ngoko Alus, revealing a bias in the model's ability to recognize that specific honorific level. For task 2, we use BLUE as our evaluation metric and set the baseline by computing BLUE score between each input sentence and its ground truth version for every honorific level. Only two models managed to slightly outperform this baseline, and even then their improvements were partial rather than consistent across all levels, showing that current models exhibit only a limited capacity for honorific style conversion. Moreover, BLUE scores were consistently higher when translating into Ngoko or Chromo Alus. This suggests that models are better at distinguishing honorific levels with large stylistic differences, whereas transfer between more similar registers remains challenging. In task 3, cross-lingual honorific translation involves Javanese and Indonesian. We choose Indonesian because of its strong cultural ties to Javanese. Moreover, high KL divergence and Jensen-Shannon score between the two languages indicate a significant lexical shift, making this task especially challenging. In task 3, translating Javanese sentences with specific honorific levels into Indonesian consistently outperformed the reverse experiments. This suggests that models handle translation into a language with a simpler honorific system more effectively than into one with a complex hierarchy. Additionally, translation involving the Ngoko level always score highest, revealing a clear bias towards Ngoko. This likely stems from existing Javanese corpora, which are predominantly composed of Ngoko-labeled sentences. For task 4, conversation experiments were run in two phases, one with no hints and one with hints detailing proper honorific usage. The results showed that providing hints didn't yield any significant improvement. A significant difference emerged in classifying speakers' honorific levels. The speaker A resulted better at generating Chromo, Chromo Alus, and Ngoko Alus. In the other side, speaker B results only better at generating Ngoko than speaker A. This suggests it is more accurate at choosing the proper honorific when initiating a conversation than when replying. Finally, we introduced the Unga Javanese honorific corpus as the first step in digitizing Javanese honorifics and a blueprint for other honorific-rich languages. Our experiment revealed that recent language models perform poorly across all tasks and exhibit bias towards specific honorific level. That concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening. See you.